Welcome to episode 196 of the Forestallover podcast. We've got my cousin James. We've got Statsman Will, or just Will, because he doesn't always come with the stats, here to talk about the FA Cup semi-final. We're also going to do a Brentford preview. We're going to talk about the league permutations at the back end of the podcast as well. We'll definitely start off with the FA Cup semi-final because the goal is to get to our first final since 1991, and the goal is to leave Man City trophyless for the first time in 8 years, and I think we can do it. We've got Wayne, who reached out with Pete Zunino, saying Forest on top of the world, Everest in the background with lead guide Kushiari Puyal. Come on, you Nepalese Reds. So out in Nepal. Brilliant. We've got NFFC Southwest, who had fantastic prizes, fundraising. One of them was a Forestallover mug recently. And they had Jimmy, who does the cartoons, Nottingham Forest, design their own branch flag. So big shout out to NFFC Southwest and Jan. And we've got Nottingham Forest San Fran Bay Area. So the Bay Area Trickies will be watching at noon. This was last Monday at Kazar Pub in San Francisco. Massive game, and it was a massive game, and we won it, and they must have had a delightful afternoon. We've got Sam, who is a British Forest fan living in Sao Paulo. He said, love what you do, and told me to check out a Reddit post, which was some Forest all over the world fans. And then big shout out to Premier Elliott, whose mum, Janet, is in hospital recovering. She broke her hip recently. Big shout out to Janet. I was at the game the other week with Elliot, so big shout out to him and his mum. We've got Dubai Trickies. They've got a Forest v City poster for the FA Cup semi-final at Kickers Bar. That's 6:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. kickoff, it says. I don't know, 6:30 to 7:30? I don't know. Whatever time it is, it's Dubai Trickies. And finally, massive shout out to Nottingham Forest North America. They have a weekender this weekend in Ohio, in Columbus, Ohio. Absolute legends. They do it every year. I think they're doing two potentially this year. Here, if you're watching, is an image of some of the fan groups from Nottingham Forest North America, Chicago, Toronto, Ohio, New York, etc. There's plenty of them. And Andrew Cove, special shout out to him because he organised it. He's been on the podcast before. He's a friend of the podcast. He does loads of work for it, and he deserves all the credit. Now, James, we'll start with you. FA Cup semi-final. How are you feeling about it? You feeling nervous?
I'm feeling good. I think that win against Tottenham was a big boost. The last two games where we lost on the trot, I think we showed, or we didn't show what we have been showing all season in the Tottenham game. I think we did show that. We came out of the blocks early. We scored early. We made the adjustments at halftime. Showed how we can set up, showed how we can defend, especially. And I think we can do that against City at Wembley. We beat them, 7 weeks ago or something? We can do it again.
Yeah, we can. We certainly can. I'm feeling quite bashful. I don't know. I'm feeling good. I was just watching. I've been messaging Will. Will's with us here, and I've been just messaging Will earlier. I was watching Stoke play Sheffield United. The start of the game was kicking off, and Chris Basham was with Michael Brown talking about the devastation of the 2022 playoffs that Sheffield United had, and it just made me feel great. It just made me feel fantastic. And then they started talking about how Brees Sama made a great save, and they kind of went into it, and Luke Chambers, ex-Forest, was sitting in the middle of them. Oh, it was brilliant. Saw Jack Robinson, all the usual suspects, Kiefer Moore, Rian Brewster, scrambling around the back end of spring trying to get up. And it just made me feel like, wait, we're in third and we have an FA Cup semi-final on Sunday. How are you feeling, Will?
Yeah, pretty good. Well, yeah, pretty good Forest-wise. I've been all week with a flu, so I've not been at my best, to be honest. But yeah, it's just about like ready in time for the Forest match on Sunday. I reckon I'll be 100% again. But yeah, in terms of like confidence, obviously it's Man City, so it's going to be tricky. But I fancy it. I certainly fancy it. I don't have the nerves that I think if we were playing Palace or Villa, I'd have more nerves, but because it's Man City, it almost feels like the pressure's on them a bit more. So, like, it sort of frees us up to like just enjoy it and just try and slay them again.
Yeah, I mean the pressure is all on them, as I said at the beginning. If they lose, their season is done. Now, obviously, they have a big chance of making Champions League football, but they're a team that has to win a trophy every year. And a domestic trophy isn't even good enough for what they consider their standards to be these days. So this would be a disaster for them if they went out. They're missing some players. We obviously are missing a couple of players through suspension and possibly injury. We don't know about Olaine, and we'll talk about that in a bit. But like, Will, what does this mean to us? Because to them, they've been to Wembley loads of times in the past 10 years. But for Forest, I mean, the last time we were at Wembley, James, me, you, Matt, and Will, we were all there together. And it was a big thing. And it was just the playoffs. This is a semi-final to take us to a final of a domestic trophy. What does it mean to the club, Will?
Well, for a start, it means a lot more to us than it does to Man City. And that's probably reflected by the amount of fans that are coming along. I know that Man City have probably been spoiled by the amount of success they've had recently, to the point where they're not even able to sell out because, you know, maybe a semi-final isn't big enough for them. I certainly remember in our promotion season when we just missed out. I think it was just missed out on the semis or the quarters, maybe, to Liverpool. Is that right?
Quarterfinals, Liverpool, 100%.
We lost in the quarters.
Diego Jota scored the winner for them, 1-0.
Yeah, so it would have beaten them, would have been at Wembley, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember that feeling like a massive blow because we were so close. And at that stage, we hadn't even played, the Wembley playoff final. So, it's, you remember that these things don't come around very often because it didn't come around for us. And, well, I don't even know how long it was. How long was it before 2022? Was it the 91 game against?
Might have been the last. Yeah, because we never made the playoff final and we hadn't been in a domestic final. So 91 it was. Yeah, it's 20.
Yeah, so that's like as a whole generation at least. So I think you got to appreciate the times that you get when you're up there, which is what makes this season so special, is because I think every Forest fan is not at all taking it for granted and just lapping it up and absorbing as much as we can, because we know that this is not necessarily a one-off. Well, I hope it isn't a one-off, but that we didn't expect this at all. None of us said, "Oh yeah, we'll finish third." Not in our or we'll finish in the top four. No one thought that was going to be the case. No one, we've had on cup runs before, but realistically, we were never going to be in with a challenge for a realistic piece of silverware. When there were teams like Arsenal, Liverpool, and Man City, and in fact, there's only one of them now. It really is sort of, it says anyone can win sort of a situation now. So I think it's all to play for. So I think that gives us an excellent reason to be optimistic and to go there and just absorb the day and how much it means to all Forest fans. It will be like a celebration, I think.
Yeah, it will, and I think so. James is going. Matt, who's not here today, is going. Will, you can't be there, family reasons. I can't be there, also kind of family reasons, and work reasons. But it's going to be a mega day. Most of the people I know who can be there are going. And it's just, I don't know. I just think there's something really special about this season that it sort of goes beyond, not just beyond expectations, but even this FA Cup run with 3 penalty shootouts in a row and the way it's happened. And now the players that we thought were going to be out for a while are slowly starting to come back. The likes of Wood and Elanga just had a knock, but Aina hopefully will be back soon as well. It just, I don't know, it feels like, and that feeling in spring. And like I was mentioning about Sheffield United, they're having the nerves jangle about the playoffs, but we're having that feeling now of spring, but with a whole different pep in our step. And it's just magnificent. James, quick one on sort of team news, the right back problem, stuff like that, specifically for Forest. We'll talk a little about City in a sec. Do you worry about that? I mean, currently as it stands right now, we might not have our 2 first choice wing backs. So we're talking about 2 left backs potentially playing if we're playing with a back 4. I mean, does it worry you? That's probably the one worry that everyone's been talking about.
Yeah, I think it relies on if we have Ola Aina back or not. I think Nuno kind of tried to keep his cards close to his chest in the press conference, maybe slightly hinted that he could be back. If he is, it's massive. If not, I think we'll probably see a 5. I'd be shocked if we don't see a 5. Not having Nico Williams and Ola Aina would be pretty scary, but to have Alex Moreno, those 3 centre backs that we know of, Morata, Merlo, Milenkovic, and Toff in a 5, I don't think would be a bad idea. I think we just try to hold them out for as long as possible. It all depends on if Ola's back or not.
Yeah, I mean, but also like, look, Toff's just come off the back of that Spurs game. That was a brave move from Nuno. I certainly we'll talk about this when we get to some of the Spurs victory later. But I certainly wasn't sure about that, and I voiced that in a WhatsApp group very publicly with Will and Matt, both who disagreed with me and ended up getting it right. But Toffolo and Moreno, they've done the best that they can in these situations. But I suppose my question now to Will is like, I think we work best with the back 4. Obviously, there's some games a back 5 is employed and it works against Brighton. But if we do employ a back 4, are you happy enough under the circumstances to play Toffolo and Moreno left and right back, one side, the other side?
Yeah, I think we've got little choice. I think otherwise, obviously Aina plays if he's fit, but I think we've just got to accept that it's going to be tricky. We've got excellent centre backs who might get us out of trouble, but if one of our wing backs get beaten on the line or whatever, down the line, we've got to get a midfielder across to try and double up. That's what we did last time. Even with Aina and Williams playing so well, we had midfielders step across to double up where possible and make it hard for them. So we're going to have to do that again, maybe to more extreme than the last time. But I think that's the way we've got to play them. And I've heard a few media outlets saying, "Oh, it's at Wembley, which will favour Man City because Wembley's a big pitch," which I've never really understood because our pitch is bigger than Wembley's, so it doesn't really make sense. But I think we've just got to play our game, and as James said earlier, just keep it tight and try and take the game long and then nick it. I think that's the key.
Absolutely, and like the problem is with City, you don't know what City's going to turn up, and you don't know what City's going to turn up at what point in the game. You watch. We were at the Everton game. James, I don't think you were there. I was there the other week. Matt was there with me. We watched Palace go 2-up away against City. They took the area of the stadium, went 2-0 up. Then they went 3-0 up, but the third goal was disallowed by a fraction of a body part that Eze was just offside. And then City came storming back, scored 2 before halftime. It was 2-2. They went on and won 5-2 and blew them away. Players like Kovacic, Kevin De Bruyne, players like that just stepped up. You don't know if that City's going to show up. We don't know if City played us. We nullified them completely. And then late in the game, they left Hudson-Odoi over on the right wing. Gibbs White picks him out and he goes in and beats Ederson near post. So we don't know what City's going to turn up, but we know that they're missing players. We know that they're missing Haaland. We know that they're missing Ederson. We know that they're missing Aki. We know that Akanji seems to have just come back. We know Stones is probably missing. Rodri's out. Oscar Bob recently got a hamstring injury. I think he might be out again. So they're missing quite a group of core players, and it seems to have fallen by the wayside a bit this season. But coming into this game, we have a slight disadvantage based on our wing backs, but we have an advantage based on the fact that this is a City team that just has been underperforming all season to the standards and levels they're meant to. I wonder, is it a time to maybe punch early and try and hit them like we did against Spurs? One goal, 2 goals. We hit the ball in the back of the net 3 times. Spurs are a different proposition to Man City, right? I know that. I'm aware of that. But it'd be good to not just get the first goal, but just to keep the pressure on City and then let them think and come out after half-time. But we just don't know what City's going to turn up, I suppose. Danger men for you, James. Are you worried that they might just start Doku and get him running at our fullbacks?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. I think they'll start Doku and either Bernardo or Savinho. I think Savinho started last time versus us, but he was subbed off. Doku versus, say, Toff, for example, if Aina isn't there, is pretty scary prospect if we're playing a 4. Yeah, I think they've seemed to stuck with that 4-2-3-1, where they have the back four. I think they played Kusanov versus us last time. I don't think he'll play this time. It'll be Diaz, Gvardiol, and Nico O'Reilly at left back, who's been really good in recent weeks. Yeah, it's going to be tough. Doku's terrifying. Kevin De Bruyne is probably going to play in that 10, terrifying. Marmouche, you've seen what he's done in the German league. He scored here. He can carve a chance out of anything. So they have a few danger men, but I'm backing our defenders as well.
And yeah, and by the way, Nico O'Reilly has done really well since he's come in. Obviously, he's playing with big statures of men in terms of their status. But I wonder, a Wembley day, can we get Elanga or Hudson-Odoi, whoever it might be, running at him and kind of put him under pressure, maybe get him a yellow card early, and then that youth naivety might come in. I mean, who knows? But the Doku situation is interesting because we did nullify Doku completely in the last game. He didn't play well against us. He slowed the game down, and Williams and Aina doubled up on him with, I think it was Dominguez and Anderson on each side, and we completely nullified him. And I suppose we have to do the same again. Obviously, we don't have our first choice fullbacks potentially. Might have Aina. We'll find out. But yeah, that's the key thing. Like, how do you think we line up, James, ourselves? How would you line up?
How I would line up if we don't have
Aina. With no Aina. If we don't have Aina, do a no Aina and with Aina situation. So do both. So we'll start with no Aina.
So no Aina is obviously sells the 5 that I mentioned before of Moreno, Murato, Milenkovic, Toff. Then the midfield is tricky because it's kind of like you don't want to leave anyone out. I don't think you can leave out Dominguez. But then you've got Dominguez, Anderson, and Morgan all to play. If you play those 3, then do you play? I think you probably play Wood and Elanga and leave out Hudson-Odoi and just use Elanga's pace early. I'd probably set up more to defend for the majority of the game and then try hit them late. And then if it was with Aina, a 4 with, I don't know, I feel like you have to go Moreno because Toff's legs could be gone after Tottenham. You said he was cramping pretty bad, even though he did play exceptional. I'd probably start Moreno, the 4 of Murilo Milenkovic, Aina, Dominguez, Anderson in the 2, and then all-out attack of Gibbs White, Elanga, Hudson-Odoi, Wood.
Yeah. And Matt Sells in goal, yeah?
Yeah.
I'm joking,
no
obviously.
Carlos Miguel or Wayne Hennessy.
No Wayne Hennessy this time.
Wayne Hennessy's big day, yeah.
Imagine he just goes, Aina's back, but the big surprise isn't Aina. It's that he's playing Wayne Hennessy in goals for the FA Cup semi-final.
And he has a stormer. Hilarious. Yeah.
And he has a stormer. Clean sheet, and we go through. Will, what about you? What's your thinking? I imagine if you're saying you're going to play back 4 anyway, I imagine your team is going to be the same with or without Aina. You know what I mean? Barring like if Aina's there, you'll take out one of the fullbacks. If Aina's not there, you'll keep one of them. What's your team with or
pretty
without
simple,
Aina?
really, for me. I'd play exactly this. I'd no change from Spurs. I think it worked very well against Spurs. They're a very similar team to Man City in that they like to get the ball wide. We played a sort of 4-2-2-2, didn't we, against Spurs? So I think playing that would help our midfield like pull across and help out our fullbacks. So that works. So we'd have So Dominguez and Danilo as sort of fulcrum. And then you've got Morgan Gibbs White and Elliot Anderson playing in sort of a wider area. And then Chris Wood and Elanga, they're basically, it's arguably it's a 4-2-2-1-1. But I think that gives us enough sort of running power in the midfield to kind of push them wide and then double up on them wide. And then also, with Elanga's pace, we might be able to catch them on the counter. And then you've also got Hudson-Odoi as potential firepower coming off the bench if we do concede early. And it gives us a place to go attacking wise if we're behind in the game. And then also we've got Murato to come on and make it 5 at the back if we need to, shut them down again. And the whole classic 60-minute move where if we're 1-0 up and we just try and grind it out, I think we can do that a bit more easily when Murato comes on. rather than starting like that. So that's what I'd go for. I think that's possibly why Nuno played that team on Monday night, was because he needed legs in the minutes in the legs of the players, and I think that's probably why. Yeah, it seemed successful. I'd just stick with the same team. I think that's a pretty reasonable thing to do. Just see how it goes. We've got options to change it if we need to.
But with Williams not being there, you're basically saying to me you're putting Moreno in, so you're putting a left back.
Yeah, Moreno for Williams, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah, and who's playing the right back? We don't know, but it'll be one of them, right?
Well, Moreno and Toffolo, one of them will play right back, one of them will play left back, depending on, I guess, maybe who they feel more comfortable going up against, or who feels more comfortable with their opposite foot. Or like, maybe who links up best with the midfielder on that side.
On that side,
so,
yeah.
So I don't know is the answer, but I trust Nuno to go with whichever he works out as a more comfortable, pairing there. So but as I say, like, I think that gives us enough flexibility.
Yeah, I've a weird feeling. I've no clue, and by the time this is released, and maybe some people are listening to this on the way to Wembley or they're whatever, they'll probably go, "Hi, Chris, you're all over the place." But I just have this weird feeling Aina's going to play. I don't know why. I don't know why I have it. I just have this weird, and it's not from press conferences or anything. It's just the timeline. Like me and James were talking about when Aina was out 3.5 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, whenever it was, with his calf. We were like, how long does it take? I'm looking it up. Oh, calves can take 2 to 4 weeks. It can take 6, depending. Can take less. And I just have this kind of like weird feeling that like he could have played like sort of like 60, 70% fit Monday. They chose not to risk him. And then now he's going to be back. But I don't know. Like if he's not back or not even in the squad, then, he might not even be available for Brentford. But I just have a weird, I don't know why. I just have a weird feeling. And if he is back, I would obviously play. I play 4-2-2-2, like you said. Yeah.
You play the same formation?
Yeah, I think I'd play the same as you. I think I'd bring Danilo in. I think I'd drop Hudson-Odoi and bring him off the bench and use Lang and Wood up top. And then play Danilo, another engine in the engine room, and then get him off after 60 minutes or whatever, and he's done his job, and then bring Hudson-Odoi on for another threat, or depending on what the score is, maybe bring on another midfielder. I don't know, but I think
we don't have any other midfielders, basically, do we?
Yeah. No, but Yates is suspended, but yeah, I do that. It's a shame that Yates and Williams can't play, but like, I mean, the good news, I suppose, about that is it's not good news. It's bad news. It's all bad news, but they'll be gunning now. Williams and Yates will probably start Thursday. Williams will start Thursday. Yates might start Thursday, depending on Dominguez if he's available or hasn't run himself into the ground on Sunday, which he might do. They'll be gunning for that Thursday game against Brentford, and that'll give us a big boost, bringing those two back after the semi-final. So. It's just exciting and it's just fun, and I've just been messaging people who are going down, and they've been asking about Box Park and all this stuff, and I just remember the time personally where we were sat in that hotel on Wembley Way, and we got in early, and therefore then it got blocked off, and we still had our table, and it was me, Matt, his dad, James, Will, all of us, and it was just a really nice moment before the game. And I was nervous, but I spoke to people about this. I wasn't feeling any expectation. It was like we got over the hump with the semi-final. So it just felt like a nice moment to go to Wembley. And Matt took a buffet breakfast and never paid for it. And that's all there is with that. But yeah, I just think it's just
Robin Hood as he went down to London.
Yeah. Well, I took a breakfast as well, and then I said I'd pay for them, and he went shh, and I was like, "What are you doing?" And he goes shh, don't. And then we just kind of forgot about it. So look,
you both.
Well, we didn't both do anything. We were both involved in the situation. But Matt was. Technically, I didn't pay for mine either, but it was a hotel. It was a hotel buffet breakfast. It was free for everyone that was there. And Matt and I didn't stay in the hotel, but we took the breakfast. Okay?
Right. So you were like fry up Tuck in this situation.
Right. Will comes in with the Nottingham puns. But anyway, yeah, well, that's what happened. It was a great day. It was a great day. It was a really great day. And obviously, for obvious reasons, it was a great night afterwards as well. I think that's kind of, I think that's it with the strategy and formation. I think other better podcasts have talked this to death, and they know what the situation is. Is Aina fit? Is he not fit? And that's the conversation. And the only other conversation is if you'd go back five, like James said, or if you do the 4-2-2-2 thing that you said, Will, like from Spurs on Monday, which I would agree with. I'd go with that early on and see how we go. But I think City can be got at. I think this is a different City than what we've seen the last 6 or 7 years. De Bruyne is aging. They are losing confidence. Their fans are walking out with 10 minutes to go in that game against Villa midweek, and they end up scoring the winner. And I'm going, but your fans have left the stadium already because you expected to blow these away. It's just getting a little bit rickety and weird for them. And I'm here for it. And I have a mate who was a fan back when they were in League One playing Gillingham in the League One playoff final. And he's a legend. But like, there's new wave of Man City fans that have never felt what we felt. And if they can feel a little bit of that by us giving them a trophyless season, I would absolutely adore it. So, big up Wembley. Hopefully we get there. Score prediction, James.
The last time I was on this podcast, we played Villa and I predicted a draw. I think I should refrain from predictions of scores, but I think it'll go the distance, and I hope it goes to penalties because of what's happened the last few rounds of the some penalties. I think we're prepared. I think we can shut them out. I think the last few times we've seen them play in Wembley, like the finals, they've scored early. Against Manchester United, I feel like they scored early. Was it Foden? So yeah, I think we just got to try to shut them out. The longer we go, the more confident I'll feel.
True. So your score prediction is?
We go to penalties and we win.
Okay, I like it. But we draw, we go to penalties and we win. By the way, they did score early against Man United 2 years ago. Last year, Man United hit them twice before half-time and got the lead and then sat in. And actually, it was a very good strategy. And United won the game very well and deserved it. They sat back the whole game, but they won it. So they hit them early, and I'd love if we could do that. But look, who knows? Will, score prediction.
Well, I had basically the same as James, but a 0-0. We went on penalties. So yeah, that would be the dream.
Jeez. It would be the dream, but it would be like Brighton away again, but like in Wembley. No, it would be anything. Yeah, anything that gets us through.
Matt says he wants penalties, doesn't he? And yeah, if we get to penalties, I think it flips. The script flips from us being the underdogs to all of a sudden, we got this. We're much better at taking penalties than Man City. Certainly this season. And they don't have Haaland, who's their main penalty taker anyway. I think Rodri would probably take one if he was in there as well. I think we'd do them on pens. I'd trust Matt Sells over Ortega.
Yeah. I trust Matt Sells over anyone on penalties at the moment. I mean, with a series of 3 penalty shootouts. I've been vocalizing to you two and both of you, funnily enough, are goalkeepers. Both of you play goalkeeper. But I've been vocalizing this to you two and Adam Wicklow from Red Side of the Trent, how like Matt Sells is like right up there with Wood for me on player of the season and Milankovic. And I just think, he's also done a series of 3 shootouts in a row where he's been really good. And then on top of that, he's had a season where he's top of the clean sheet list. And I know that comes from defense as well, but then you look at all the incredible saves he's made. And we'll talk about player of the season another time, but he's right at the top of the tree for me with Wood, depending on what Wood and sort of Milankovic do for the rest of the season. But Milankovic has already been a revelation. But penalties would be interesting. I think we win it in 90 minutes. I think we win 2-1. And it's not like I'm sounding confident or whatever. Like City could come out and blow us away. Of course they could. They've spent billions and billions and they might or might not get a deduction next year. But I have a feeling I want us to do what we did against Spurs and go 2-0 up, or what Man United did to them last year in the FA Cup. Or, I feel like we could do that. And I'm just hoping we hit early. And I'm hoping if we don't hit them early, we don't get nervous and then panic and whatever. Just sit in and bide our time to get our goal as well. Because if we do that, they'll hit us in the counter. They'll score a couple of goals and they'll think they're invincible again. So I'm going to go 2-1 in normal time, 90 minutes. And I'll get my flights ready for Wembley Part 2.
I don't think there's any danger of us getting nervous if we don't score early against Man City. Just because of how we've played this season. It just doesn't seem to be the way. We've tended to back ourselves and take games late if needs be, especially against the big boys. And the pressure, as we said, will be all on Man City to try and break us down. And if they're not, then they'll be getting nervous, and our fans will start to build up as well. And we'll have the advantage fan-wise in the stadium. And I'm sure in terms of noise, we'll outsing them. So I reckon that could have a massive effect on the atmosphere. And therefore the players. So yeah, I think not conceding and keeping it tight just helps us completely.
Yeah, that's our game, really. And that's been our game. We've won the amount of 1-0 wins we've had this season, where we've just sat in and got ahead and then just stuck with it.
Exactly, and that as well. Man City will know that if we score, we're probably going to try and grind it out, and that'll make them nervous. Now that almost is like, it might almost feel like to them, if we score first, then they've got such a massive uphill task to have to deal with. So yeah, they will fear us scoring first, certainly. But it's not like they think this is a walkover. We beat them last time out. We've come close to them in a few games, to be fair. Yeah, I think they'll be nervous.
Yeah, they will, and reasons being, their season really kind of does rest on this. It kind of does, because silverware is kind of what matters for them. They're expected to make the Champions League anyway. They don't win a trophy. It's back to square one next season, and then they've got all the legal stuff going on, and then they've got teams that are going to improve even more next season. And it's just, yeah. So it's the pressure is really all on them. But yeah, hopefully we go and we go on and we give a good account of ourselves. And if we do, I think we'll get over the line. But it's a great weekend, and it's great to come to the back end of this sort of spring summer thing, and you've got stuff all on the line. And I remember that feeling like last year and the year before, things were on the line in this back end, but it's like the trap door, nervous you're going to drop down on the line. I remember 3 years ago celebrating beating Sheffield United in the first leg, because I said to myself, it's summer, the sun's out, I'll have a few drinks. I was in Dublin at the time, I'd just flown back from Canada, and I was thinking, we might not get through the second leg, so I'm just going to enjoy this right now. And I just enjoyed the moment of beating Sheffield United away. And now it's like, I can't believe what I'm trying to enjoy now, because it's just so out of the stratosphere. So yeah, it's absolute class. Quick word on the game on Monday, like just a real quick couple of words, because everyone's talked about the Spurs game, and then we'll move on to sort of Brentford and league permutations and stuff like that. But Monday was a really important win. A really, really important win, wasn't it, James?
Absolutely. Not even just for momentum for Sunday. I think just those 3 points on the board, just mentally seeing that league position, where even if we were only in third for a day, because City played that game and they're ahead of us now, but that was obviously a game in hand. Yeah, it was just massive for momentum. Toff came in. I don't think anyone really had him playing how he played. That clearance off the line was unbelievable. Matt Sells with that save on Richarlison.
We're smiling because Matt and Will both had Toff coming in and doing a job, and I had a serious argument with all of them before kickoff about it. And I even said, but Danilo might be a bit rusty as well, and Danilo had a great game. So I think I had a forfeit, and here it is. I have to say, and I'll say it, as a result of Toffolo doing brilliantly, Matt conclusively knows more about football than me.
Just cut it there. Perfect. Thank you very much.
Right. On the music. Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off, James. I had to get that forfeit in there. Go on. You were saying about Monday.
Yeah, sorry. The Matt Self save off the Richarlison header, and then the one where Nico booted it into Ryan Yates and it fell to Richarlison. That 1v1 save was huge. It could have changed the game completely. We conceded a lot of crosses. The only thing, obviously, they only scored one. It was their last cross. I think it was like 48 crosses or something they had against us. We dealt with them well, but it's something, again, that could come up against City. We were clinical with our chances. It's really good seeing us score 3-1 disallowed, but 2 goals, massive. And then the back 5 shift at halftime was like huge. I really enjoyed. I love seeing terrorist football, and I think that's what that was, to be honest.
Morata just locking it up, and what's even cooler is like, just when he comes on, you kind of just go, oh, okay,
yeah,
good luck, and you know that Spurs are gonna come out and give the. Now, to be fair, what you mentioned about the crosses, out of those crosses, Richarlison got his head on quite a few, and I'm not just talking about the first half miss. I felt like Toffolo first half was getting overrun, but so was Williams a bit. He was making mistakes, and their wingers were getting wide. But when he changed it second half, I mean, Toffolo had an unbelievable second half, but Richarlison got his head on like 3 of those. One of them was an incredible save from Sells. One of them was an incredible clearance from Toffolo, and the other one was a goal. So he could have scored a hat-trick of the exact same header in the exact same spot all the time. So that is a bit of worry, because he was splitting the defenders really well. And he did well for them, to be fair. But we came out on top, didn't we, Will? And as James said, the momentum, that game is so crucial for us, wasn't it?
Yeah, just absolutely massive. Like, it feels like one of the biggest games of the season there. I mean, maybe when we came out and smashed Brighton 7-0 after losing 5-0, that was arguably a bigger thing, but it felt like suddenly we were under a lot of pressure. We'd lost 2, everyone else was winning around us. We dropped down to 6 before we played that game, and I think that just put the frighteners up a little bit. And just, that's like, when you've got points in hand, you can sit back on them a little bit and get a bit not complacent. I'm not saying we were being complacent, but it's only until those points you see them taken away and you're like, all right, we're in 6th now. We need to win this game. We did so. We went out there and we put in an absolutely quality performance. And to be honest, until the last 5 minutes, I wasn't worried at all. Like we went ahead early. We was very close to being 3-0. Chris Wood looked incredibly sharp again, which is great considering he's been injured for a little while. He looked on it, and then there's a little bit just before half time where he looked a bit shaky. Morata comes on at half time. We lock it up for 70-75 minutes, and then they have a late flurry at the end. I wasn't nervous particularly. I was terrified, obviously, when they scored, but I wasn't nervous up until that point. I thought we're absolutely fine. We're gonna cruise this like we always do. And we deserve the win. But yeah, it was a huge win for us away to Spurs in an evening fixture. And I think it's always harder to win evening fixtures away from home. So yeah, it was massive and much needed, and it takes a little bit of pressure off us. And we've got easier games now, hopefully. So yeah, I think we've got a much better chance of getting over the line now, obviously.
Yeah, a better chance, and we're still in the mix. And obviously, the other teams can go and do what Villa and Newcastle did recently. You can't control Villa going and winning 5 in a row, or Newcastle going and winning 5 in a row, which is what they've done. Like, we'd won 3 games in a row. We lost 2 back to back, and all of a sudden we're slipping out. It just at the top, those teams are going to do that. So you gotta keep up with it. But such a big game to win, like such a massive game. Like, that is. Like, we'd won 1 away game, I think, all year since Wolves, and it was against Ipswich. So our away form had kind of dropped off, and we were relying on our home form. I was at the Everton game last week when, the air came out the stadium and they scored late, and I felt devastated. I thought, how do we pick ourselves up? We've got 9 days to wait till Spurs. That reaction is just pure class from Nuno, from the staff, from the team. They were out in the front foot. I was listening to the commentators going, Spurs can't even get a foothold in this game. And they did play Romero and Van der Ven at centre-back at the start. And Vicario is meant to be their top goalkeeper, who was just fumbling at left, right, and centre. It was an incredibly clinical early first half performance. And even more clinical from Nuno when he shut up shop late on. I just thought it was brilliant. I was just delighted. And you know what? A lot of people reach out to me, come out the woodworks. And I'm not talking about the Man United mates fans of mine. There was other people that reached out to me. They know who they are, just trying to wind me up all week last week. But I'm just checking in on you. Just checking in. Just checking in to see if you saw Monday night. Just checking in, checking out, round the roundabout, back to me checking on you, because you're not checking in on me anymore. All right? Eat it. Sorry. There were a couple of them listening to the podcast. They're not even Man United fans or whatever, my mates. They're other random. But you know what? I'm checking in on you to see how you're getting on this weekend. Well, we're in a semi-final.
This sounds like your Kevin Keegan moment here.
No. I had the Kevin Keegan moment before, and it didn't work out for me. It was when I was building up for a different game, specifically against Bournemouth, and we ended up getting panned 5-0. This is definitely not that. This is just.
I'd love to see you as a Premier League manager. It would be incredible. Every week you'd just be Kevin Keeganing.
I think on a Sunday league manager probably
just be all over the shop.
Yeah, they will be. I'm just annoyed because they were just roiling me up the whole time, and it happened before the Man United game. My Man United fan mates were just roiling me up the whole time, and I was like, "What are you doing?" Like I wasn't even biting them back, and they're just going, "Here he is," and it's like you wind me up like a Duracell bunny, and I go. But yeah. Anyway, speaking of Bournemouth, who I had that. We had that disaster against 5-0 a while ago. Have only won one game in 9 since then, by the way.
On the hit list. just reminder,
but just checking in on you guys. But we need Bournemouth. Permutations and all these things are happening, and we actually need a lot of these teams now. I was saying to you guys, or will at least beforehand, Bournemouth, Brighton, Fulham, all fighting for 8th. 8th might end up being a European spot. There's still a chance of that happening, I think. So yeah. Fulham, Bournemouth, Brighton all fighting on those fronts, and Bournemouth, Brighton, Fulham all play teams in the top 5 around us now. We've played them. They're done with us. So we actually need the likes of Fulham and Brighton and Bournemouth to beat the likes of Man City, Aston Villa. I think Brighton play Newcastle. So we actually need them now, which is just really interesting. And it's really interesting that 8th spot has now become a thing that we need them to fight for. Looks like we've already got 7th at least. Fingers crossed, touch wood. I mean, it looks like it, unless there's something crazy happens. But yeah, it's weird permutations going on and needing those teams to do well. How do you think they'll fare at the back end of the season, James? Or do you think Bournemouth and Brighton will continue to slip off form a little bit? Fulham got a bit of a punch in the gut from Chelsea last weekend.
I think they're the type of teams that can kind of turn up any week and beat anyone. They've all played us. Bournemouth and Fulham at least have beaten us. I think they're really tricky to play against when they're on form. They have really good players with or without injuries. So I think they can do a job, but I think we've spoken about this before where we just need to try focus on our own games, and if other teams around us lose, that just makes it even better, but we just focus on ourselves.
Yeah. And Will, what about you? Do you think are you thinking just forget about the other teams and what they're doing and just focus on taking care of Brentford on the Thursday and Palace? 2 tricky games, Palace not long after.
Yeah, I mean, the logical part of my mind is saying, yeah, let's just focus on us. But obviously the fan-based part of my mind is looking at all the permutations and thinking, well, the more that our opposition have, the teams that are in the race for the Champions League that aren't us have to play teams with something to play for still and then aren't on the beach, the better, because obviously there is going to be a step off in intensity if your team's already relegated, or if your team's Manchester United or Spurs.
And Villa play both of them in the last 2 games of the season, and exactly, the 2 of them are just focused in the Europa right now. So
yeah. And probably and you've seen Arsenal step off the gas a little bit. Palace got a draw against them, and arguably probably could have won that in the end. It's a good thing that those teams who are excellent teams, Bournemouth and Brighton and Fulham have been superb this year, and they've not been far away from us in terms of quality. Fulham have beaten us twice, Bournemouth have beaten us once,
and drawn with us late.
So they've got the better of us, both of those teams, and it's good that they're capable of taking points off the teams around us. So I'm all for any sort of little advantage I can see. Yeah, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, and also those teams they're not quite on the beach yet, I suppose, is my overall point. They're not quite there. A lot of teams are going to be on the beach the back end of the season, but Bournemouth, Brighton and Fulham are still scratching around, fighting for that sort of 8th spot. I don't think they can reach 7th. but they're fighting for that 8th spot and hoping that it becomes, opens up to a European spot. And obviously if Palace go on winning the FA Cup, then that changes everything. One of the spots is gone, but there's just so many things still to go ahead because there's Chelsea still in European competitions and they're still fighting for the top 6 or whatever it is, 5. It's just, there's a lot going on, and I don't even know how that 8th spot becomes available. I think I kind of do, but I don't want to say it in case it's wrong. But if someone wants to tell me the exact things, I know for a fact that if Palace win the FA Cup, that Europa League spot goes to them and gets taken away from the league, I believe. But look, we'll see how it all pans out. I'm keeping an eye on them a little bit, like I am, but I think ultimately, the moment we get 3 points on the board, it's that thing, Will, you always talk about scoreboard pressure, cricket scoreboard pressure. If you get the points on the board, you're putting pressure on Everest. We've hit 60 now. There's still a few teams who haven't quite hit it. Newcastle probably will this weekend. They'll beat Ipswich, I imagine. But it's just we'll have the game in hand then. It's just getting our points on the board. Brentford, Thursday. We'll do a little bit of a preview for that because I probably won't be back because I've so much going on next week till after that with Matt, maybe. It's amazing how the league can all turn around, James. That Everton game just knocked the stuffing out of us. And then all of a sudden, 9 days later, we beat Spurs away and we're all celebrating and happy again going into a semi-final. Brentford is a tricky game. Let's not pretend that it's going to be easy. They kind of enjoy playing away from home, I think. They're like that kind of counter-attacking team with Mbemo and Wissa, and they set up pretty well. Thomas Frank is a reasonably good coach, and although he looks arrogant and smug at times, he is a good coach and he's done really, really well with them. Do you fear them a bit, or do you think we can put on a bit of a clinic and take a 1-0 win, but at home Thursday night?
I don't fear them. I think at home is really to our benefit. The fans have been incredible all season. We'll be incredible at Wembley. We'll be incredible at Thursday night. I think they're a team of underrated players. Like when you look at Brentford's team, it's never like massive names that they've signed from anyone else. It's always their own kind of players like Mbeumo, Wissa. You've got Norgard, Damsgaard. I think they've like really good, talented players that sometimes don't even get the recognition they deserve. But we went to their home ground when I think they were unbeaten at home when we went there and we beat them. I think we can beat them at home. If we win on Sunday, again, it's just talking about that momentum. Even if we don't win on Sunday, we can still beat them, especially with the players we have coming back. I don't think we should fear them. I think we just take it, as I said, one game at a time. We know how they set up. We know how they like to play. We saw them beat Brighton pretty comfortably there. I know Brighton had the red card, but even still, I think we can beat them.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely can beat them. We beat them 2-0 away from home, and we did put a clinic on at their stadium. And they kind of ran out of ideas. I think they came onto us strong the first 20, 25 minutes. And then once we simmered it down, we got that goal from Maine, and the second half, Alanga just scored that class goal, nicked it off Keane Lewis Potter. And yeah, it was brilliant. But look, they're playing well, and Mbeumo is just a constant threat. Wissa is a constant threat. They don't really feel the pressure away from home, Brentford. They beat Bournemouth away from home 2-1 fairly comfortably. I think they were 2-0 up at one stage. I think they just seem to be they're happy to go and try and put it to a team away from home. That's the kind of football they play. But yeah, I wouldn't fear them. I just think that you'd hope the lights will on a Thursday night at the City ground. I mean, we generally do well under the lights, don't we? That's what you keep telling me.
Yeah, we've got a very good record under the lights. It's we played 13 games under the lights this season at night, and we've won 9 of those. So I think it's 9, and then two draws, I think, or 3 draws.
2 draws. You mentioned 2 draws to me, 2 losses.
2 draws. Yeah, okay, yeah.
And that's including away games, right? So you're not just just home games.
All games, evening fixtures. So I mean, I'd imagine. I haven't actually looked up home games under the lights, but I would imagine that it's
undefeated, probably
maybe even more weighted in our favour of the City ground because it's obviously home advantage is better. So that helps. That stacks. But, I mean, I've been saying since the last time I was on here before the Brentford game, they've got a very good attack, and they do, and that's something to look out for. Defensively, they're not strong. Defensively, we are strong, and we've got a good attack. So I think we're a better rounded team as long as we're careful around them, we I think we can just, if we get ahead, I think we can nullify them. I think we can just, as long as we don't play end-to-end basketball style football, I think we'll be fine.
Which is what they want. They'll want that. And do you know,
Yeah.
what's interesting about home form? I was talking to Matt Davies earlier. We were doing an FPL team. We were mad for FPL, even though I've been doing really bad, or well, not great this season. Looking for a late flurry. But what we were chatting about, I was saying, like, gosh, like we were talking about putting Mbemo potentially in our FPL team, but we were like, you know what, that's away at Forest. Like, if you're a neutral, you're probably looking at that going, actually, that's a difficult fixture. We were both saying, yeah, maybe we won't put him in. Maybe, even though he's a penalty taker and he takes set pieces and he has all the data. Ultimately, I looked off the top of my head, I thought, when was the last time Forest conceded at home? Okay, Everton, 94th minute. I was at that game, right? 94th minute, horrendous. Before that, hadn't conceded at home in 5 matches. So we had to go back to Southampton. So Brighton, clean sheet 7-0. Arsenal, clean sheet 0-0. Man City, clean sheet 1-0. Man United, clean sheet 1-0. Everton, almost clean sheet, right? So we generally at home, we seem to defensively be pretty shrewd. I know we've been defensively pretty shrewd across the board, but at home, we really tend to turn up our defensive efforts and do really well. And like, that's a class record, specifically if you're looking at form, the last 5-6 games. I mean, to have only conceded 1 goal is really, really good. Obviously, there was the Ipswich goal we conceded in the FA Cup, but in the league, that's class. So my hope is just that we continue with that defensive solidity, keep ourselves in the game, and hopefully sort of nick it 1 or 2-0. I do think Brentford will put it on us. What they like to do is same thing. They have this same training ground routine that they've done for 2 years. I saw them try it against us away last time. I saw them try to do it, and it worked 2 years ago. It's the same thing. The ball goes into Damsgaard or Norgard, and they just first time swing it round the corner, and Mbemo and Wissa go on and run in. They did it against Newcastle away, and was it Chelsea away? I can't remember, but I saw them do it a million times, and it's just the same thing. It's literally just, if a defense steps up, they'll just swing it around the corner. Someone will play it into the middle of the park, and from the halfway, someone will swing it a right hook over the top, and Wissa and Bama will go on to it. It'll either be into the channels or over the top. And I know that's fairly straightforward to say, but if you nullify like that kind of threat that they try and do on a regular basis, and then obviously they're good from set pieces, I think, or at least they practice them with their XG stats all over the place in the leisure center stadium or whatever it's called, the swimming pool place. They do have this analytical mind, and they're this analytical team. And I think Nuno will be wise to it, and I'm hopeful we can get a result. And I'm not going to say that we definitely will, because we played Everton and they were tricky, and then they ended up running out 1-0 winners. But I think we've a good chance, and the fans will be well up for it. If we win on Sunday or lose on Sunday, it doesn't matter. The fans will be up for it on Thursday night under the lights. They'll be ready to push the team over the line. So that's my hope. Do you want to give a quick score prediction, James?
Yeah, I think it'll be a close affair. 1 goal in it. I'm always going to back Forest to win, so I'll say 2-1.
2-1, like it. Will?
2-0 us again. I reckon we're just going to overpower them. I think Brentford are good against the bigger sides. I think they up their game against the so-called bigger sides. We are a bigger side now, but I think our style of play is a bit of a nightmare for them.
Okay, love it. Well, I'm going to back us, and I'm going to say it just came to me 3-1. It just came to me there. It just took a flash. It just it did take a while. The people who are listening are probably like, "Oh, that's the end of the podcast."
It's frozen.
Dead air's not good at a podcast.
Yeah. Right. Follow us at NFFC all over on X, or at Forest all over on Instagram. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, because I always do it at the end of the podcast, and then why didn't I just do it at the beginning? But like and subscribe, please. And look, Forest fans, this spring is amazing for us, regardless of what happens from now on in. This has been one of the best seasons in sort of 30 odd years. So like, we should celebrate that and really enjoy the back end of this season. There's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be more twists even in the last 5 games. I mean, the last 3 Premier League games, there was twists and turns, from sort of Villa to Everton to Spurs on Monday. So there's going to be twists and turns. Just hold on to your socks and we'll be all right. Thank you, James, for joining me.
Thanks for having me again, Will. Great chatting to you, and hope we get the win on Sunday.
Will, thanks. You're going to Wembley, by the way. James, enjoy it. You're a good luck charm. Everybody knows that because I keep telling everyone. And if it doesn't work out, it's not your fault. You know, Goodwill Hunting style, it's not your fault. But what I will say is you are a good luck charm. So we'll you know, I do love that you're going. Will, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Enjoy Wembley. Sing your heart out. That goes to every Forest fan that's listening and going. Enjoy the day, and yeah, see us home.
Yeah, and there's only one review corner this week. It was from a couple of weeks ago. I saw a YouTube comment. It literally just said "shit podcast." Most of the time, you just get like these big long analogies of someone. I think someone mentioned that I had a face like a slapped arse, sitting even before the game started against Everton because I have my like concentration face on, and he said he'd pop over and say hi, and he didn't because I'd have. But shout out to him as well. Sorry if I had a face like a slapped arse, but I was just in nervous mode, probably sat in the seat. But the shit podcast one's one of my favorites. That's like, you know, the Bournemouth fans calling me a twat.
Do you know what who sent that and sort of what team they support?
No, I think it was a Forest fan. I think it was a Forest fan. Thanks for opening that can of worms.
That's brutal.
It's getting darker and darker where I am, so my face is getting redder and redder, and it's starting to look like some sort of fantasy horror movie. So let's get out of here. Let's make City trophyless. And if we can't do that, let's march on to the European dream at the back end of this season. Thank you, everyone. Rock and roll. Wembley is here, and hopefully it'll be here in a month's time as well.